Hi guys, it's Panelhopper here again. Today I'm going to talk about Watchmen, which I just rewatched on Netflix for the first time since it came out on DVD about 5 years ago. Well, 6 years ago now. It's still great, but as I think I said at the time when I saw it in cinema, it's great because the source material is great. It doesn't have anything to do with Zack Snyder, who clearly proves that when he's writing his own movies and directing his own movies, he can't actually do visual pacing and storytelling. But Watchmen is still one of the best adaptations of all time, right up there with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And what I mean by that is, adaptation isn't just you take the thing exactly as it is in its original art form and painstakingly recreate it, because that's not what adaptation is, and that's not how adaptation works. Adaptation is helping something to fit this new form, and if you do it right, like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings or like Zack Snyder's Watchmen, you can get everything that is good about, and everything that's good and everything that needs to be in something like Watchmen or the Lord of the Rings, and your own detail, but still have space for your own visual flair. So like Lord of the Rings, I don't think anyone who had read Lord of the Rings before those movies came out had the same visual interpretation of Middle Earth as Peter Jackson had, but he was able to give it his own visual language without taking away from too much of what was originally in the books. And the stuff he did take away, like the Tom Bombadil stuff, while it would have been nice to see, it's not essential to the story, and that's what adaptation should do. And it's the same with Watchmen. Almost everything that's in Watchmen, the film, is in the graphic novel, apart from a few details that aren't really necessary to the plot as a whole. Like a lot of people get on Zack Snyder for changing the ending, but I think the ending is just as good thematically as the graphic novel's ending, even if it's different. And I just can't stop. I haven't rewatched it. I just can't stop thinking about it. Like, I'd forgotten how good of a film version of that story it is. How it gets all the best lines and visual moments and just takes them from the graphic novel and puts them in exactly as they should be. Which, as I've just said, is not essential to adaptation. But when it comes to something like Watchmen, which is entirely visual anyway, that's what he needed to do, and he did it. And it just proves that when Zack Snyder is directing someone else's storytelling material and someone else's visuals, he can do it. When he's directing something like Batman vs Superman, it just doesn't work. Unfortunately for him. Oh yeah, and one more thing about Watchmen. Obviously, if you're a big comic book fan, you will have heard that Watchmen is being integrated into the mainstream DC universe as part of their Rebirth storyline, whereas before the characters were owned by DC, but Watchmen was very much its own separate universe, its own self-contained story. And like a lot of people, I think that's bullshit. I think the whole point of Watchmen is that it's a self-contained story. I think the whole point of the characters that Alan Moore created was the fact that he created them because he couldn't use the rights to DC mainline characters like he wanted to do. So the idea that those characters are now integrated in the mainstream universe, if that's what tends to be the case, to me just seems completely ridiculous, and I don't see how DC can make it work. But then a lot of things about DC at the moment confuse me. I've said before how they've had, 3 reboots in 10 years, maybe more than that. Anyway, I'll see you later. Bye guys.